Hello, welcome back to AG Engineering. We've got the temporary crankshaft in, we've got the bearings in, and we need to look at the end feed conversion. I've got the engine rigged up with the oil pump on, and I'll just bring the camera in a little bit closer. So there's our crankshaft rotating and driving the oil pump as it would normally. I'll go the right way, that direction. With our oil pump on and our crankshaft in engagement, we've got to get oil from behind here where our new gallery comes through over to here. Now I'll try and find a photograph of the what is supposedly the SRM stroke Devi Mead etc. version, but effectively they put a block inside the timing cover and sort of alloy braze it into place. It's in that half, and it picks up through there into this block, and I will think there's a drilling through that way to get up into where the crank area is around about here. In line with my normal, I don't want to do it that way and do it the hard way. I want to try and do a little block. Apologies, I'm kicking the tripod. I want to try and do a little block that fits in there, bolts on the oil pump there, and puts a little piece for the oil seal and what will be the pickup pipe there. I've got the other nut on the way, even though I suppose I could have made one. I've got the other nut on the way and the tab washer, just to see the thickness of it that goes on there. And I've got some more Whitworth screws, so I'm a bit short on Whitworth cap screws. I've got an idea for here if we do a little block. Let me just pause the camera a minute and go and fetch them. What I've got here are brake line fittings. The hole in them is quite small. It would need drilling out a little to our sort of minimum 4mm, and then a 2mm hole in the sides, so you've got two 2mm holes or two 2.5mm holes with a 4mm hole in the middle to try and maintain our flow. That's M10 by 1, and that one there's an M10 by 1.25. If you remember back a couple of episodes, I wanted to put a 10mm OD dowel into there to feed into the crankcase part, and I want it to trap that new pipe up there. Now that dowel, I'm considering I want to be trapped in itself by this threading into there. So with that threaded in, like microsurgery, I'm hoping to get a little plate over to there, so you can bolt that on and pretty much almost run this with the timing cover off. I don't know how much oil you'd lose out of everywhere else. This side, for example, on the plan for the scrambler, I wouldn't need a dynamo drive. Sorry, that way. I'm conscious of making ums now, thanks Carl. The dynamo drive chain, I wouldn't need that, so you could probably put a bush in there and a blank or a blind bush in that hole to stop oil coming through into this part. That might be a consideration. The magneto drive end, we need the bush in there, but you'd better get to your auto advance up there as well. So I think I'll make a start on this. I'm going to drill through from the other side and initially get an M10, probably M10 by 1.25 thread into there, and then we can screw that in and see where we are. We need to know how much room there is to play with inside the timing cover, and it's quite awkward to measure like that. You can bolt the timing cover to this bit and see it, but I've got a bit of an idea, so bear with me on that, and I'll see if it works to give me a bit of a model to work from. I'll start by centering over the hole with a drill bit the right size of it, and just roughly get it there, then just nip the clamp up so it'll sort of self-centre. I'll just swap the drill bit over to the 8.7 I've got for the M10 by 1.25 tap. And again, with a spray, and I'll just put the power on, but I'll use the variable speed control, just sort of engage it and bring the power in, and then once it starts it'll feed itself. With that thread done, just give it a quick deburr. Now we can offer it back up to the engine again. In fact, we can have a look like that, can't we? So that is kind of the plan of attack. Try and make a block that'll work with that bolt. So let's look at the other side. I've got more than sufficient room there to get my my dowel piece made, so I'll look at that next. I'm unsure here where I'm up to with the filming, so apologies if there's repeats on this. This is another day yet again. Thanks to Peter, yes, there was a washer missing between the gear and the oil pump scroll, so I've just made one of them. We've got that in. I remember I filmed about drilling that, so you'll have seen that a few moments ago video wise. I can't remember if I pointed out this problem with that. The idea was putting one of these oil feed banjos in there. Just bring that in a fraction like that, and then making a block over to the oil pump. But when that's in, the timing cover won't align. It's too big. I can't do that. So while I've been waiting to find a crank, which was in the previous episode, and another bearing, some other bits have come. We've got a little tiny M6 oil feed banjo, which is probably too small, and I've got an M8 one there, which has actually got a reasonable size hole and three of those. I've probably already filmed this, so we're going to have to do a bit of welding here. I need to move that over a fraction. I've made that piece that will go from the underside of there into that thread, but that thread will be drilled out at the bottom. That's the oil feed from the crankcase, and then that'll screw on top, and it'll be slightly offset like that. This shows up in the camera, but there's enough of a countersink in there and a big enough hole in there that we won't have an oil feed problem. I want to just sort of catch it on the edge, so we've still got a good flow through. Should be fine. I'll just check what size that hole is, but I think we'll be okay as long as we're over, I think it's 4mm ultimately at the back of the oil pump. As long as you're over that, you're fine as far as I'm concerned. So I'm going to fill that in with a bit of weld or something, and recut that thread just offset over towards that way, so that I can get the timing cover on. It'll clear that hexagon. That hexagon will clear where the cover lands. So I'm going to do that. Having welded the hole back up, I'll just mill it back down flat again. There we are with the hole filled and just dressed a little. I'm set up over the centre of the hole again there, just by centering on a bolt in them threads. I'm just going to drill that down. I'm going to go 12mm, I think, just check. I think I've done my stainless bit a little bit longer than that, but we'll only go that deep. We can always shorten the stainless adapter, so I'll just touch off and then set the depth stop. Set a 0 rather on the digital readout. 10mm I'm going in at, so. Well, that's gone down to 11 before I touch the weld at the bottom there. That'll be fine. I can adjust the other piece. I'm still centred over that hole at 10mm. What I'm going to do now is use one of the alloy washers, the sealing washers, and I need to set that up so it's offsetting the hole. And I've got an 8mm end mill upside down in the chuck there. It's got a little bit of clearance actually. I'll position this washer where I want the hole the other side. I'll centre up with that, then I'll change that over to a smaller bit so I don't make this hole any bigger on this side, and get a pilot hole through to the other side so I know where I'm coming out of. So if we're able to see that now I've adjusted everything, where that washer is, the washer just ever so slightly overhangs this back edge, and you can see where the offset is to the 10mm hole, and that most importantly my washer is back enough from this edge, for a point, it's back enough from this edge for my timing case to go onto, which will be the other side. At worst I can turn the OD of this washer down, so I'm recentering this feed hole from the other side to be able to get the timing cover on. It'll make sense when I put it together, honest. Now I've swapped that 8mm bit over for a 6mm bit the right way, and that clears that hole on this side, and that'll give me my pilot from the other side. So we're through from this side now. I'll take it out, turn it over, and we'll get a look at it. We now have an offset hole for our feed. Our piece goes in there. I need to shorten that a little bit, and we've still got a hole through from the other side. You can see that. So we know we've got a passageway, and with a little bit more, this has got to be drilled out to 7mm tap to 8, and a little bit more chamfer on that other piece at the back, and we've got more than sufficient clearance. We should be able to pass a 4mm drill bit through there, no problem. So I'm just going to go and shorten this little stainless piece quickly with a little bit of adjustment. Our little adapter pipe extension's now in there. We've still got to drill and tap that side, but that should now go on to there. Give me, I'm working around the camera. Beautiful. We've still got alignment for the dowel, so that's replaced the dowel. So now we've got our oil feed to that point. Next stage will be to drill that to the right tapping size and get a thread into there for that. So with the end mill, 6mm end mill in, upside down again, that just slides into the hole, so we know we're located. I'll swap that now to a 7mm end mill, and we'll drill down 10mm ready for the M8x1 tap. I need a bottoming tap. I don't think I've got one, so I may have to order one of those. So there might be a little bit of a gap in between doing this bit and getting the tap in the week, but I'm at work for a couple of days, so it'll give it time to arrive. We'll get it started with this taper tap. Again, this is a few days later. The other tap I ordered, the bottoming tap, hasn't arrived yet. Now I'm doing this by hand rather than with the machine because of getting a feel for how deep I'm going with the tap. This is just a small tap wrench with a spring-loaded follower in the back of the tap and centred over the hole, because I don't want to tap too far. And with this I'll feel, or hopefully I will, think about there, whether I'm going into the next step on that machining from the other side. I'll take this out and turn it over I've now got to start them okay. There we are, that's as far as I can get with that tap. Just to the start of the next step of the hole. After another search around, I managed to find that one in the in a glow plug repair kit. It's like a special tap for that kit, and we've got down to the or almost down to the depth, enough to progress for now. Next stage. That worked well. There's our 4mm drill bit. It's actually loose in there. I'll be nearly get a 4.5 or all that through it. It's actually a bit of an oval sort of hole at the bottom there, so we've got plenty of flow through there.